Hey everybody! If we haven't had the chance to meet yet, my name is Rachel McKelvey, and I am the summer ministerial intern here at the Church at Stone River for the summer. And I am just popping on real quick to make a little video about how to use Zoom. So for the month of June, we're going to be focusing on small groups, and that will be our primary avenue of fellowshipping together and still being able to connect with our church family. And we know some of you have already been using Zoom and have had success with it, but we wanted to go ahead and kind of have a concise, cohesive video to answer any questions about how to set up a Zoom video, and then later how to actually have a productive discussion on Zoom and some cool features with it, just so that if anyone has any questions, they can check back here and know how to use this well for their group. So here I just have my Google tab open, and so we're going to go to the Zoom website, zoom.us, and it'll pull it up to the home page. And then here, I think you can't see my mouse, but on the right-hand side we have join a meeting, host a meeting, sign in, or sign up. It's free. If you don't already have a Zoom account, I recommend you going ahead and getting one. There are a few different tiers of your Zoom account you can have. There's like a free basic plan that allows you to have up to 100 participants, and then you can have meetings that last for 40 minutes if you have a large group. If you do just like a one-on-one meeting, I think it's unlimited time for your meeting, but if you do like 3 people or more, you're capped at 40 minutes. But if you still have the link to your Zoom meeting posted somewhere, and if you're having a great time and 40 minutes just is not long enough and then Zoom kicks you out and you're really upset, you can re-click that link and re-enter into the Zoom meeting, and then you'll have another 40 minutes. I had to do that for one of my small groups at school last semester, and so we went for like another 30 minutes after that, so it was good to lengthen that. But if you don't want to have to be kicked out and re-enter your meeting that way, there are options for you to pay for more professional Zoom accounts. I think like the next step up is the Pro account, and it's like $15 a month, and that gives you unlimited, or at least 24 hours, I think, for your Zoom meeting, which I don't expect your meetings will go longer than 24 hours, but and you can still have up to 100 people in it, so that has a little more freedom with it, so you don't have to worry about re-entering your meeting. But if you do that, only one person in your small group has to have a purchased account, because then when they circulate out the link to the rest of your group, that link works for everyone, so everyone benefits from that person buying it. So my dad's Sunday school class at a church in Hartselle, he has paid for the Zoom account, and then they get to have their hour and a half long meetings without being kicked out. But that's totally up to you. No pressure to do that. Just want you to know your options. But I already have an account, so I'm going to go here and sign in, and I have all of my information saved, so click sign in again. It may take a second. All right, here we go. So here's my account. There's me. I don't have a photo, but if you would like to add a photo, you can. And then we're going to go over here to the left-hand side and click on meetings. And look, I already have a meeting scheduled. That is my Zoom workshop for today. But I am going to actually, in this video, schedule my Thursday night small group that I'll be starting next week. Really exciting. So I click schedule a new meeting, and then now I can pick my topic for my meeting. So I'm going to say Thursday night small group. I haven't thought of a name for it yet, but at least I will have a Zoom link. But you can name it whatever. If you guys want to shout out and give me a more cool name for my small group, that's totally cool. You don't have to add a description if you don't want to. And then you can scroll down and select when you want to have your Zoom meeting. So my first meeting won't be till next week on June 11th. And my meetings are going to be at 6 p.m. So let me go down here. All right. So you can select that time for whenever your small group is. You can change it up and change it around. And then my duration, I'm going to leave it as 1 hour. I actually have the student account and the student plan for Zoom, which basically they have just waived the fee for you to have longer meetings so that people who are using this platform for classes aren't going to get kicked off and they can have the full length of their class. So if you join my small group, you won't get kicked out and have to re-enter the Zoom meeting because I have the unlimited plan right now. But if you're making your own small group time, I think you'll put it in as 40 minutes. I'm not sure. It's going to be 40 minutes will be your max anyway. So that's really up to you to fill out there. And then it has our time zone. I think all of us are in the central time zone, but in case you're not, you can fix that. And then down here you can click recurring meeting if you're going to have your meeting happen several times. So my small group is going to meet weekly. And it's going to meet only once per week. It's going to meet on Thursday nights at 6 p.m. For the summer while I'm here working at Stone River. But I want it to have a specific length of time that I will be having my small group meeting, because I'm not just going to keep going on and on indefinitely. And so they have this option here where you can put your end date. And so you can put the specific date if you want of this is when my end date is. I'm going to just do how many occurrences I will have. So my small group is going to meet 8 times. We'll do like an 8-week series. And so it will then set up my meeting, and I will have a Zoom link that will work on Thursdays at 6 p.m. for the 8 weeks on that time frame. So it's really nice. I don't have to go through now and schedule it every week, but it will just be a recurring meeting, which will be really nice. And because it's a recurring meeting, it's going to have its own meeting ID, which I will get later. And so I don't have the option here, it looks like, to establish if I want to have my personal meeting ID or if I just want to have a automatically generated meeting ID, which is the case you will get if you don't have a recurring meeting. But I think most of us were planning on scheduling ours to happen for a little while because this is kind of the state of the world right now. So here, though, we have our meeting password in addition to your meeting ID, which you will have for your individual Zoom meetings. And I don't know if any of you have read any headlines or seen things that have talked about possible security issues with Zoom. That is not something I've ever had issues with. I've never had someone I don't know join a Zoom meeting, nor do I know anyone who's had that happen. But there have been cases, I guess, around the country, especially in this time of quarantine and social distancing. But if you go ahead and establish and have a meeting password on your Zoom account and your Zoom meeting, then it makes it harder for people to come in. It will be more secure, and people won't really have access to just like hack into your meeting. So that way, when you send out your invitation, it will not only send your meeting ID, but also your meeting password. And then you can send that out to your small group members, your neighbor if you want them to come, your cousins, anybody you want to join, but only people that have both the ID and the password will be able to join in your meeting. I guess my school account requires it because I can't uncheck meeting password, but I recommend going ahead and putting your check mark there and making sure that you do have a meeting password. Okay, and then we're down here on our video settings, and this is if you want your video feed to be on or off when you first enter into the session, into your meeting. I'm going to go ahead and turn them on for both the host and the participant. That way, when people are joining the meeting, there's not going to be any issue of, oh no, I can't get my video feed working, help. It'll already be on, and that will be one less thing you have to worry about getting situated as you're trying to get ready for your small group time. But you might want to warn your small group members, like, hey, just know when you sign in, your video feed will be on, so don't be doing anything too silly, just to give them a heads up. But I recommend going ahead and putting that on. Just makes things a little easier. And then there are just some more general meeting options here at the bottom. There's an option here to allow people to join before the host joins. So say my meeting was at 6 p.m., but I was really going to be booking it to try and make it by 6 p.m. I could enable this to let people go ahead and join 5 minutes early. If you have a paid account, it might make more sense for you to do this, but if you just have the free basic plan, I wouldn't recommend putting this on, because as soon as people join your meeting, that starts your countdown of your 40 minutes. So I would go ahead and just wait to sign on till the last minute and then admit people all at once rather than letting them come in first, when it would be great to have time of just hanging out and catching up. But if you're on that time limit, you might want to be more conscious of that. You also here have the option to mute participants upon entry. I'm going to go ahead and mark that just so people aren't coming in and going all willy-nilly, speaking over each other, and then you can't understand what anyone is saying. It will be great to see everybody on our Zoom meetings, and we want to have that time of fellowship, but this will make things just a little more clear and a little cleaner transition as you're getting everyone signed into your Zoom meeting time, and that way people can go back and unmute themselves later if they have things they want to say, but it'll just make things easier for you to communicate and then later have discussions as well. So I recommend going ahead and having that on, but it's up to you if you want to just leave it off. That's fine. It'll just maybe be a little chaotic for a few minutes. Enable waiting room is kind of like the alternative to enabling people to join before the host. If you enable the waiting room, you as the host will be able to admit people into your meeting. So I would send out my link here for my small group, and as people kind of signed in, I would get a notification of Ted Amy wants to join your meeting, and then I would admit them. So there's kind of like a waiting room of they have clicked the link and then they are waiting for the host to let them join. So that kind of just helps, and it also helps again with security of making sure that you don't have weird hackers coming into your meeting. It's that security that comes from having your password, so you only can admit people that you know. But I've never had someone I don't know show up in my waiting room because they have to have the password as well as the meeting ID. And then last but not least, there you can save the meeting. You can record it as you're going if you want. That's an option to you. So say you have a really great small group topic that you're talking about this week, but one of your friends can't make it to small group and is really sad about it. You can go ahead and record the meeting and then share that with your person, but make sure you check with your small group and make sure that everyone is fine with you recording, because they might say, I'm fine with you recording, I just don't want my face in it. So they might decide to turn off their video feed. But that's an option. If you want to go ahead and turn it on to automatically record the meeting, you can, but it will be an option also whenever you start the meeting. So I'm just going to leave that off for now. So that's a lot of stuff. Thank you for listening. But once you have all of your preferences set up, then you can go to save down here. And then here is all your information for your Zoom meeting. So mine is my Thursday night small group, and it's going to meet first on July 11th at 6 p.m., and then it's going to meet every Thursday for 8 weeks. And then I can click here, show all occurrences, and it'll show me all the weeks that it's going to meet. So if you're watching and you want to join my Zoom meeting or my small group, we're going to go from June 11th to July 30th, and you can see that here. It's very nice and clean. But if I needed to change that, I could edit some of these. So I could edit an individual meeting. So if I said, oh, instead of being an hour, I want this to only be 30 minutes, we're going to do a short week or something, I could do that. Or I could just delete it and say, just kidding, we're not actually going to meet on June 11th. So-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so all can't make it, so we're just going to not have it this week. Totally up to you. So you have still that flexibility of making it what you want to be. So I'm going to hide my occurrences now. And you can add it to your different calendars if you want. I'm going to try and add it to my Outlook calendar. Oh, great. I will click on that later. But here's my meeting ID and my meeting password. I can show you guys the password. I can hide the password. And then here is your link that you can send to people if they want to join your Zoom meeting. And then over here on the right-hand side, you can click on to copy invitation. And I'm going to copy my invitation and just click to see it popped up, and I can click down here and it has all of the meeting occurrences and the times and the dates, and it has the link as well as the meeting ID and the password. And so I'm going to go ahead and click copy meeting invitation, and it's copied to my clipboard. So now I can go and I could like pull up my email and write an email to everybody and say, hey, please join me for my Zoom meeting on Thursday, and you'll have the access to do that. So like that is something that I could pass along like to Jill to put in the newsletter or to put on the website so that people can join us for our time. So it's open for anybody to come. And then again here are just some of our preferences that we set up about having video on and having people muted as we go in. But once you have set your meeting and you have scheduled it, this is ready to go. So this will be here. So if I like leave the page, I can go to profile and then I can go back to meetings and it will have saved the meeting I have scheduled. So like you saw earlier, I have my Zoom workshop, but then down here I also have my Thursday night small group, and I can go ahead and click start that meeting. And then it will open my Zoom app for me, and my meeting will begin. So I hope this video has helped a little bit and answered some questions you might have. We're going to do another video of actually being in the Zoom app so that you can figure out how to lead good discussions and maybe learn a few little tricks up your sleeve of how to have a good discussion and maybe use some cool features that are a part of the Zoom software. Yeah, I think that's all I have. I had something else I wanted to add there at the end, but it's gone, so that's fine. I do recommend going ahead and downloading the Zoom app onto whatever device you're going to be using, whether it's your iPad, your phone, your laptop. I like using it on my laptop, but that's just me. And then you can go ahead and sign in, and that'll be easy for you to join meetings. I like scheduling my meeting on my laptop more, but it's totally up to you. So I hope this helped a little bit, and I will see you guys soon.